Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. I am Danica Favorite with Publish Drive, and we are here today to talk about metadata. Who loves metadata? Yay, I know I made it. Sorry, for those of you who missed the opening session, I am actually on vacation in Paris, and so just getting used to a little bit of the tech stuff and getting everything going. So thank you all for your patience and understanding with that. So without further ado, I am going to share my patient, and I'm going to talk about metadata. So my presentation is Unlocking the Power of Metadata, how to make your books discoverable and sell more. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Danica Favorite. I am the community manager of Publish Drive. I'm also the co-host of the Brave New Bookshelf podcast, which is a podcast about AI for authors. So if you are interested in the AI topic, and you want some more information on AI, give our podcast a listen. It's bravenewbookshelf.com. It's available on YouTube as well as on all your favorite podcast channels. We're on a little bit of a summer break right now. Obviously, I'm on vacation, but feel free to go back and listen to previous episodes. I'm also a multi-published author, so all of the stuff that I'm talking to you guys about today is all stuff that I am very familiar with from the author side. I previously worked as a community manager for a major publisher, and I helped aspiring authors get published. So I have over 25 years in publishing, which I kind of don't want to admit to because then you guys kind of know how old I am. But I started when I was 5, so it's all good, right? Okay. So who is Publish Drive? Publish Drive is an all-in-one publishing ecosystem designed to empower indie authors, established writers, and publishers at every stage of their publishing journey. With a unique blend of tools and services, we provide a seamless pathway from manuscript to market, ensuring that you have everything you need to succeed in the competitive world of publishing. Our core offerings are distribution, which is what we are mostly known for. We can get your book into over 400 online stores worldwide in ebook, audiobook, and print on demand. We also have our publishing assistant, which helps you refine your metadata, your description, and your covers. We also have a product called Abacus, which does royalty splits. So if you have co-authors, we can help you split your royalties. So with Publish Drive, you save time, increase efficiency, and maximize your publishing potential, all while connecting with a global audience. So for us, our mission is more than distribution. And so we empower and support independent authors and publishers across all stages of their creative journey. We do it through strategic partnerships, education, and technology. And the stage of the journey we're talking about today is marketing and metadata. Here's a question for you. When you put a book on Amazon, who markets that for you? And it's kind of a trick question because some of you are like, I know, I struggle with marketing. I'm trying to market. But like once it hits Amazon, how do readers on Amazon find it? And part of your job is making the book product available for purchase at the right price. You want to make the right people aware of your book. You want to explain the benefits in the right way. And then you want to encourage them to buy. So how do you tell Amazon how to do all of this? Well, the answer is metadata. And so all marketing activities at the storefront are totally automated without any direct human control. And the processes work based on the data they receive, which is metadata. And I know some of you are like, well, you've got Amazon ads and things like that. But Amazon ads also are going to rely on your metadata as well. So, but when we put your book up on Amazon, how do people find it? How do people see it without those ads? And the ads are only going to augment what's already there. And so one of the things that's really important to have is that good metadata, because the only way to influence the processes, have better visibility, reach, conversion, is to provide as accurate and rich content-filled metadata as you possibly can. The better your metadata is, the better people are going to be able to find it. Because metadata is the fuel of your success on Amazon. And frankly, the wrong metadata is going to ruin your marketing activity, sorry. So how do we come up with the right metadata? First of all, you have to start with your reader in your mind. It begins with your audience awareness. Because who is your book for? Who will read your book? What problem does it solve, or what story does it tell? What other books would the same reader be interested in? And you need to use these answers to guide your metadata decisions, because here's the thing. Once you start marketing your book, it's completely about the reader. You know, we think sometimes of our books as our babies, and we've written the book of our heart, and it means so much to us. And this is why we've put them out into the world, right? The thing is that your readers don't care. I hate to break it to you. I mean, some of them do. Some of them want to hear your story as an author. But for example, I'm actually in Paris with some writer friends, and one of my writer friends and I were talking about alien books and how much we love alien books. And after we had that conversation, I went on to Amazon. I searched for alien books. You know what I wasn't searching for? Moving story. No, I searched for alien books. And so it's really important to remember that what your reader is looking for, who that book is for, what problem does it solve, what story does it tell, what other books would the same reader be interested in? And so think in terms of what that person is searching for as you're crafting your metadata. And so the biggest thing is crafting that compelling title and subtitle. Your title should be clear but not clever, unless you're writing in a genre where cleverness is expected. But you know, there's so many times when people will come up with this beautiful title that they think is wonderful. And I saw this in many, many years working with the aspiring authors, and they would say, "Oh no, but this is such a brilliant title." And it wasn't, because the title didn't tell me anything about what the book was about. And I always have struggles titling my books, because I honestly don't care what the title of the book is. I want it to sell. And so if alien warrior prince abduction is going to sell me the most copies, that's the book that I want. That's the title I want for my book. I don't want happy people living forever or some nonsense like that. But think about, like, how easy is it to read at a glance, and pair it with a subtitle that gives extra information, especially if you're doing nonfiction or keyword-driven fiction. So an example here that I put was mastering metadata, how to make your book discoverable and sell more copies. Now, an example with the aliens, like I was just talking about, notice I said alien warrior prince, abduction. Like, those are really big keywords that readers are searching for, and I've just put that in my title. And for my subtitle, I could put in Omegaverse, I don't know, is aliens Omegaverse? It doesn't matter. I like alien books, but not well enough to tell you what marketing terms. But that is what you should be doing. You should be looking at the alien books and what people are marketing for. And why? Like, what are they searching for? And what tropes and themes? For those of you who are at the opening session, I was talking with Jennifer Hilt, who's going to be talking about tropes. And that's one of the things. You should try to put as many of those tropes in your title, in your subtitle, etc., because you want readers to be able to find it. You want them to search for that. And so think about those search terms that people are using to find the kind of book that you have written. So the example I like to give, and for those of you who have heard me speak on this, I'm going to give this example again because I love this example, is vampires. You have to make it obvious because your real target is the bots perform the search for the reader. The easier you make it for the book to be found, the more reader eyes will reach your book. So we have always heard as writers, show, don't tell, right? When we're doing marketing, when we're looking at metadata and book titles and subtitles and descriptions, it's actually tell. Don't show, tell. Tell them what they're getting. So the example I like to use is I was helping an author with her vampire book. The title did not have anything about vampires. The subtitle did not have anything about vampires. When I read the description, it didn't have anything about vampires. And so she's telling me, well, I don't understand why this book is doing so poorly because it's a really hot genre. And I'm like, okay, what genre is it? And she said vampires. I'm like, but you didn't say vampire anywhere in the title, in the subtitle, in the book description. How do people know that it's a vampire? And she said, well, it's assumed. Like, I don't want readers to treat readers like they're stupid. I want them to be, readers are smart enough to figure it out. Okay, maybe the reader is, but the bot searching the metadata of your book is not smart enough to assume vampire. You need to make sure vampire is in your book. And when I tell that story, people laugh. And they're like, oh yeah, that should be obvious. It should be obvious. But I have helped so many authors with their book descriptions and with their metadata. And I can tell you, so many of them don't make that obvious choice. And again, when I'm searching for a book, like I was telling you guys yesterday, talking to my author friend about the alien books we were discussing, a couple of the alien books she really liked. I wouldn't have thought it was an alien book. The cover didn't show alien. It was just a hot dude. I mean, I guess he's an alien because he was so hot, but he didn't look like an alien. The title didn't say alien. The subtitle didn't say alien. And there was some alien stuff in the description, but it's not going to appear higher on the search terms because it doesn't say alien in the important places, which is your title and your subtitle. And those cover cues of what that looks like. Because when you do that initial search, think about people searching on their phone. What shows up on your phone? It's not that full book description. It's your cover, it's your title, it's your subtitle, and maybe if you're lucky, a line or two of the description. So if it doesn't say alien right there, I'm going to skim right past it. If it doesn't say vampire right there, I'm skimming right past it. So think about, what is your story? What are the things that a reader is looking for that's going to make them say, oh, I want to take a look at that. I want to see what this book is about. I'm willing to take a chance on this book. Which leads us to the blurbs. With your blurbs, you want to start with a hook. Again, that one or two sentences that creates intrigue or emotional connection. Again, oftentimes all readers see at that first instance of searching for your book, maybe it's that one or two sentences. It's not going to be that full blurb showing up in search terms, which means you want to front load all of those really important things about your book. And then you're going to follow it with a summary that's going to highlight the stakes, the benefits, the themes. And then you're going to end with a strong call to action. You've got to keep it concise, scannable, and aligned with genre expectations. Again, think about the search terms that readers are searching for. And once again, I'm going to point you to the whole idea of tropes. What tropes are in your book? You want to make sure that your book description, that blurb, is full of the tropes that are in your book, because that might be what people are searching for. And it's really important to include as many of those as possible, because you don't know which one the reader is going to be excited about. We were reworking some of the stuff for my author friend yesterday, and she put in there, I don't remember all of the stuff, but it was like military, friends to lovers, steamy, et cetera, et cetera. All of those terms people are going to search for. Are they searching for steamy friends to lovers? Boom, there's her book. Are you searching for steamy military? Boom, there's your book. Are you searching for military friends to lovers? Boom, there's your book. Are you searching for those individual items? Again, the more of those items that you're putting in there, the more the readers are going to be like, oh, cool. And the more chance readers are going to actually find your book. Because remember, you're doing this for the bots. The bot, and this is all metadata is. It's those keywords, it's those things that the bots are searching for, so that it knows how to categorize your book and it knows how to put your book in front of the right audience. And so another story, I've told this before, but it's really important to think about in terms of where your audience that wants your book is. It's not about, anyone could enjoy my book. No, who specifically will? I had an author with this blurb, and the book was in the LGBTQ section. Well, nothing in the title, nothing in the subtitle, nothing in the blurb said LGBTQ. And I said to her, hey, why is it in this category? Is this LGBTQ? We need to make sure we're putting that in the title, subtitle, description, all of that, to really make that metadata rich, because that's really an important genre for people. And she said, well, it's not, but I'm sure LGBTQ people would like it. Well, no, that's why her book wasn't selling. It's because it was in the wrong category, and people looking for LGBTQ books didn't see that in any of those terms. And so they're like, I don't want this book. I want one that speaks specifically to what I'm looking for. So here's a guide to writing some good book blurbs. Blurb structure and best practices. A strong blurb hooks your reader. It presents high stakes and leaves them wanting more without giving everything away. You want to use your active language, your emotional cues, your genre-specific keywords to guide your ideal reader towards clicking that buy now. Yes, this is the whole idea of using the tropes. You want that because that's what people are searching for. People are searching for your tropes. So, paragraph 1, your ordinary world and disruption. Who is the protagonist? What do they want? What's their status quo? What's the inciting incident that shatters that? What's at stake now? Example, when major character loses key thing, their world changes forever. Now they must initial challenge. Literally, people, this is the only backstory you should ever put in your blurb. Again, I've read thousands of blurbs. I can tell you most authors think that they need to tell the whole backstory in their blurb. But the backstory isn't what's selling the book. People want that immediacy. They want that thing that's going to say, I have to buy this right now. They don't need the backstory. They're going to get it in the book. So what is that top high-level thing that people are looking for, that someone is searching for right now? Because you know what? They are not searching for, once upon a time in a land far, far away, this girl realized that she was different. She had this weird power, and she was looking to discover what she should do with that power. And then she met this troll. Like, no one cares. And that's the thing, is you need to make them care right from the get-go. And that's what this prompt of, notice, it is 2 sentences max. And sometimes I think you don't even need those 2 sentences. But if you really feel strongly that you need to have your 2 sentences, then there you go. There's your 2 sentences. Tagline, hook. A 1-line summary of the main character facing their biggest risk. Post a dramatic question or emotional dilemma. Hint at the genre and tone, mystery, romance, fantasy, etc. Keep it short and impactful, ideally under 15 words. Include as many keywords as possible. This is important for metadata and discoverability. Here's an example. She's hiding a secret. He's sworn to expose the truth. Listen, we don't care what the secret and the truth is at this point. We just want that intriguing hook to draw the reader in. Now, here's the thing. You want to make that fitting your genre. Like, she's hiding a secret. He's sworn to expose the truth. You're expecting some level of mystery or suspense or something like that. And so if there isn't that angle, you might want to rethink it. Maybe she's his best friend's little sister, the one woman he can't have. Very, very simple, but now we know exactly what's happening and why you want to pick up this book, if that's the genre you like. Paragraph 2, rising tension and conflict. Now that the major character is in a new reality, what obstacles are they facing? What's spiraling out of control? What emotional or physical danger looms? Introduce your key conflict or your secondary characters. You don't want to give spoilers here, but make those stakes feel urgent and escalating. We're not telling the whole story here. We are giving the high main bullet points of what the conflict is. She is a virgin sworn to protect the chalice. He is a warrior who is sworn to take her virginity. If she loses her virginity, the chalice is lost. Like, things like that are showing you what the stakes are. What are the dangers? What are the obstacles? So, paragraph 3, your climax tease. Highlights a critical choice or confrontation ahead. What ultimate risk must the major character face? What inner transformation or sacrifice is coming? What could they lose if they fail? So, as an example, as major character faces final challenge, they must decide, here's the choice, or risk losing, what's the ultimate cost? Her kingdom will be lost forever. She'll lose the job she's been desperate to get. Think about what that thing is going to truly cost them and put that in there. Again, we're not spoiling it. We're not saying, oh, they're going to get married and live happily ever after. I mean, if it's a romance, it's already assumed, you know it. But maybe not. We still aren't going to put that in your blurb. And then call to action. It's going to be emotional, keyword rich. And with an emotional or genre-tuned invitation to keywords readers search for. Mention themes or tropes. Notice I've talked a lot about the different tropes. Why? That's what people are searching for. Enemies to lovers, small town, found family. Use genre buzzwords, heart-pounding, spellbinding, laugh out loud, etc. Be careful with those because, seriously, we were looking at alien books yesterday. I might have glanced at 50, and all of them are, check out this amazing. You know what? I don't care if it's amazing. I would like to be the judge whether or not it's amazing. So use those buzzwords really carefully, and please don't use amazing. Seriously, it was bad. Out of 50 alien books I looked at yesterday, just for my own personal reading, I think like half of them said it was amazing. And I'm just like, I don't care. So use the buzzwords that they're searching for, that they care about. Or, as I said here, it fits the genre. Like, it's heart pounding. What do you think of heart pounding? You think suspense, you think mystery, spellbinding. Obviously, it's going to be some kind of story with some spells and some magic. Laugh out loud. It better be a romantic comedy. Seriously, if you call your book Laugh Out Loud and I don't laugh, I'm going to be pissed. Again, fill this with keywords. Example, call to action. Perfect for fans of emotionally rich women's fiction and second chance love stories. Now, I'm going to tell a story about this book that I read, which is actually really funny because I'm getting ready to get on a plane. And this is why I downloaded a bunch of books yesterday. Actually, I downloaded more today. I probably will not get through most of them, but I like having options because you never know what you're going to feel like on the plane. But anyway, I did this before a flight where I downloaded a bunch of books, and there's this one that was really captivating in its description. And I thought, I have to read this. I just sounds amazing. I get the book. I'm reading it on the plane. And I started reading the first chapter, and it had nothing to do with the description, like to the point where I rechecked the book and the description to make sure I had the right book and it was the right book. And I kept reading because there's something you should know about me. I have a fatal flaw. My fatal flaw is I cannot not finish a book. If I start a book, I am committed to finishing it. It is a sickness. Unless I lose the book or misplace it, I will finish it no matter how bad it is. And so this book, that is what I did. I continued to read it. I read it, and I read it, and I read it. And I got about 2/3, 3/4 of the way through. And remember that thing in the description that I read? Well, finally, that was what the description was. I'm like, yes, finally, the cool thing that I actually made me want to read the book, which, by the way, most people don't have my sickness, so they would not have gotten to 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through the book. They would have put the book down way before that, but I did not. However, I was still disappointed because it turns out that the back cover copy that this person used for this book was actually just one scene in the book, and it wasn't even a critical scene. It had nothing to do with the plot. It was just a cool scene. I was very upset as a reader. I will probably never buy books by that author again, except that I don't remember who the author was, so maybe I will. But very poorly done, and I can tell you that this author's sales probably weren't that great, or maybe that book was selling a lot, but then the read through and the future books were not going to sell a lot because a lot of people would have been just as disappointed and said, yeah, you know what, I'm not going to read another book by this author because they didn't keep their promise. So when you put all of these things in your book, you want to keep that promise to your reader because ultimately that's what the book is. And so the other thing, optional comparison, reader hook. Some people like them. Okay, I'm going to pause a minute because I don't know if you guys heard there were sirens. So just let's do a little siren pause, maybe do a little dance, stretch a little bit. Okay, sirens are gone. Anyway, going back to what I was saying. Optional comparison, reader hook. Some people love them, some people hate them. I can personally take them or leave them, but I've heard from a lot of authors this does sell their books well. Again, use it sparingly, use it responsibly, because you're encouraging familiarity by drawing comparisons to known works or authors. So if you love a popular book and another book, you'll adore your title. Use a comparable tone, audience, and themes, not just genre. And this is where I have the love-hate relationship, because so many times people will pick an author or a book that they think is a comp, and it's not. And so really, before you make that comp, make sure your book is actually comp for those books. And I would ask your beta readers and your friends and critique partners and just say, hey, do you think I'm hitting the mark here with this comparison? Because a lot of times you think that you are, but you're not. And again, you're setting your readers up for a disappointing experience if they think they're getting a book like 50 Shades of Grey and it's totally different, but you think, oh, I'll catch them with 50 Shades of Grey, and then it's totally different. That's a terrible reader experience, and you're going to get bad reviews. And again, the read through is not going to happen. They're not going to continue reading your work. So all of this is setting readers up for a good promise. Keep it under 250 words. Avoid naming too many characters. Focus on the protagonist and one key supporting role. Guys, this makes me nuts. Seriously, makes me nuts. I will be reading a blurb and there's 5 different characters mentioned. I don't know who they are. And frankly, I don't care who they are. And in just a couple paragraphs in 250 words, which I think is actually very generous, I would keep it shorter than that. But in just those couple paragraphs of a blurb, you don't have room to introduce all of these characters. You get to tell me about one character. If it's like a romance or something, 2 characters. It really, this is the story of Sadie's quest to find the magic ring to save her people. Okay? We don't care about the cast of characters at this point, because right now you need to get us to buy in to Sadie's quest, not any of the other characters. Sell us all the other characters when you're reading the book. Or if it's a romance where, you've got the hot firefighter and the shy librarian, we need to care about the hot firefighter and shy librarian. We don't need to know about anybody else. Make us care about those 2 people. I know some of you are like, you already had me at hot fireman and shy librarian. Yesterday we were sitting here and the firefighters came to a building across the street from us, and we were out there ogling the firemen. So, that's, for some people, that's an auto buy. But, maybe people aren't sure about hot firemen, and maybe hot firemen alone isn't going to get them. So tell us, hot fireman who rescues kittens. Boom. Suddenly we have a reason to care. Don't summarize the whole plot. Create questions that the reader needs answered. Again, you don't want to give it away. You want to tease them to make them say, oh my gosh, I have to find out what happens. I have to know about this story. I care about these people. I care about this ring that's going to that if she doesn't get the ring, it's going to destroy the whole world. Like, give them that information and give them that need to know more. Give them just a taste. Write in third person present tense unless your book is memoir or very voice-driven first person. I know that some people really want to write their blurbs in first person. I've seen it where the blurb is in first person and then you read the book and it's in third person, and that's really confusing. Like, really, this is marketing copy. Think about your blurb as a commercial, because that's really what it is. If you were doing a commercial for your book, like, whose POV would you want it to be in? You want it to be something that's going to reach the masses and do it in a way that's going to sell your book. Use sentence variety and paragraph rhythm to keep the pace engaging. Make it engaging. Don't make it this really boring. She went to the mountains. She found the ring. She saved her people. Like, give it some personality. Give it a reason for the readers to say, hey, this person can write. You don't have to do it fully in your voice, but do it in a way that the reader is going to say, oh, this person knows how to write. This person knows what they're doing. If the blurb is poorly written, the automatic assumption, in my opinion, is going to be, oh, they can't even, the book is probably terrible. And think about the keywords readers are searching for. I've talked a lot about loading it with keywords, loading it with rope, all the things. Don't overload the keywords. Make sure it's flowing naturally. There is a penalty when you just do keyword stuffing. So make sure that it's part of the narrative flow where people are reading something that's engaging and wants them to read. Like, I've seen authors, again, who just do, here's the bullet points of the keywords. Okay, so you've told me nothing about the story. You've just told me what the keywords are. You've got to give them some sense of the story. So you really have to have that balance between having all the keywords, but also making it flow, making it good narrative so that it's interesting to read. Choose the right categories. I was telling you a little bit about that as well previously with the LGBTQ book. But use the Amazon and BISAC categories to your advantage. For those of you who don't know, BISAC categories, that's for people who are wide. They use a categorization system, which is basically a BISAC. It's called a BISAC code. And so make sure you're finding the appropriate ones for your category. And this is where niching down can be really helpful. And so do that search of the category niches that work for your book and your story. If you're in a general category, for example, if you just put your book in romance, well, you're up against a million other books. if you're under paranormal romance shifters, suddenly you've niched down to where that competition is a lot less, and the chances are your book is going to be seen and found by people. So you want to pick the most specific subgenres that are possible. Not all the subgenres are available, and I'm sitting here talking to my French author friends, and apparently Amazon France doesn't have all the same categories we do. And so really make sure that it works for your region, and make sure that it's working for what is selling in your store. Again, this is where, I was talking about comps earlier, but look at the comp titles. What categories are they in? That's also sometimes really funny, because you'll look for your comp titles and you find that they're in really bizarre categories that may not fit your book, which is actually kind of good for you because your competitor has just put their book in the wrong category. But sometimes, most of the time, when they're in the right category, that's really telling you where you should be putting your book. And I did say competitors, but I would also urge you not to think about these books as competitors or these other authors as competitors. The truth is that we all can only write so fast. And so we want readers to be finding and reading more books in that same genre. And so it's the more readers are devouring your particular genre, your particular subgenre, the better it is for you, because then when your next book comes out, they're going to be ready. And so, there's plenty of room for everyone. There's plenty of room for every author. And so maybe you see, oh, wow, this other author who's writing shifter romance, hey, they've also got a lot of books. Maybe we could team up and do reader swaps and things like that. So really see that as opportunity for collaboration and for understanding that your readers read faster than you write, and they want all of that content. Again, yesterday when we were talking about the alien books, my friend was telling me about some of her favorite authors, and she was actually kind of irritated because she's like, well, I've read all of their books, and now I've read all these books, and now I have to find a new author to read. Be that new author, right? Be that new author that someone is looking for. The other thing is monitor category changes. Platforms update frequently, and sometimes they do it without telling you, and they will accidentally put you into a weird category. Sometimes they put you into a really good category, but sometimes they put you into a really wrong category. So make sure you're checking and make sure your book is still in the right category. Select effective keywords. Again, all of this is stuff that I've already gone over. Think like a reader. Use your long tail keywords. The more specific, the better targeting you're going to get. Mix broad and niche terms, and then avoid your redundancy with your title, subtitle, author name. Prioritize relevance over high search volume. Like I was saying, shifter romance is going to get you more results than just romance. And study your competitors. Again, what are their common themes? What are their common phrases? If you have that comp author where you're like, hey, they write like me, we write similar stuff, see what terms they're putting in, because if a reader is searching and finding them, they're going to search and find you. What's in the top 50 of your category? What are those terms? What are those keywords? Use tools like Publisher Rocket, KDP Suggestions, or PublishDrive's AI tool. You want to fill all available keyword slots effectively, and then test and refresh regularly based on performance. If you're finding your book isn't doing well, go in and see what you can add, see what you can change to make it more effective. A book cover that sells, your number one marketing asset. Again, people are scrolling. All they see sometimes is that little teeny tiny cover. The importance of a good cover, genre expectations, the emotional connection. Like I was saying about scrolling through, that first impression, it matters. Again, understanding your reader expectations ensures your book connects with those most likely to buy. Like I was telling you about that alien book that I was looking at, it was just a hot dude. Nothing on the cover said alien. I would not have looked at that and said, ooh, I need that alien book. Make sure your cover shows, hey, it's an alien book. That vampire book I was telling you about earlier The cover did not show anything that indicated it was a vampire book. It was just a hot dude. Again, some people will buy just for the hot dude, but not everyone will. They want to know what that genre is. And so here are all the things that go into the conversion: your visibility, your interest, your conversion. All these things play into factor: your keywords, your categories, your cover, your title, subtitle, series, author date, price, blurb. These are all the things that are going to inform the bots that then give the results that people are searching for. Sources needed for good marketing, including metadata. Know your content, know your market, be a good copywriter, know the tech of search engines, know your category systems, know the trends, have experience, and ultimately a lot of this does come down to luck. So don't beat yourself up if you're doing everything right and people aren't finding your book. Sometimes it really is just luck. And sometimes people are going to find a poorly categorized book and it's just luck. But since luck is only a small part of it, do all of the other things right. So how do you do that? You can do it manually and write it all yourself and figure it out all yourself and research it all yourself. You can manually put this into AI and have AI help you. You can hire someone, which, to be very honest, I never write my own blurbs because I'm too close to my work. So I always have someone write them for me because I want them to see what a reader is going to see as marketable. Or you can use PublishDrive's publishing assistant. We have an AI-powered publishing assistant. Her name is Alexandra. Basically, you upload your book. It reads the book in 1 minute. It is connected directly to Amazon, so it's got the database with the up-to-date market data. It's a good copywriter. It knows the tech of search engines. It knows the category systems. It knows the trends. It has experience. And luck-wise, it's got the same chance as a human. But it can do 80 to 90% of the metadata crafting job faster and with better quality than a human. It can prepare metadata recommendations for content, but you have the final decision. It can save time for you that can be spent on other activities. And as I mentioned, it uses the most up-to-date market data. To be honest, when I use the publishing assistant, what I do is it'll give me several different choices of blurbs. I like this piece, I like this piece, I like this piece, and I cobble them together. Because as the author, you have full control. So to get into Publishing Assistant, we have that there on our homepage, metadata generator. You upload your content. You can also, if you're looking to see what genre tropes and things you're hitting, you can upload a draft. You wait for processing, which takes a couple of minutes. Read the recommendations, fine tune it, get more if you wish. You mark the best ones. You can download it, you can copy them, and then you can use it to publish on PublishDrive. And so this is just an example of what it came up with for a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is pretty good. And so it's really neat to be able to see that this all came with AI and AI figured it out. One of the things I do want to say is we have a no training policy. So even though you are putting your content, we do not ever use your content to train AI. So your data is safe. We're not using it to train the AI or to train any other AIs. We're very open about that. We think that your data is important, your work is important, and we want to protect that. So you can start it totally free. You get 60 free credits, which is enough to process a book. And so, yeah, you can go on, you can play with it. If you want more credits, if you want to do more books, it's usually about $5 to $10 per book. So pretty inexpensive. I always like to say that because when I was paying someone to do my blurbs, they were charging me $120. So kind of nice that you can just do it for $5 to $10. So now we will switch to some Q&A. Boo, boo, boo. Let's see. Hello. So hopefully you guys have some really good information. I know that was a lot to process in just a short period of time. But if anyone has questions, I'm happy to answer them. I was able to answer some things. Question from, let's see, Rachel says, what are the results of having a title with few keywords while using the subtitle or series for the most keywords? Is there a difference in results? So that's a great question. I think that it's going to depend on the genre and what people are searching for. Like I said, I was just playing with this with a friend yesterday, and the decision we made to see how things were going to do. Thank you, Rachel. The decision we made is the title is going to stay the same, and the subtitle has all the keywords. But that fits the genre expectation. So it's really important to take a look at what the other books in your genre are doing so that people can take a look at that and they know what to expect based on what you've done there. Okay. How many times a year do you recommend adjusting keywords and metadata on books? I would say I would check at least, every few months. And if you see that your sales are not where you want them to be, that's the first and easiest thing I would change, is see if your metadata and keywords are good and adjust them. I used the publishing assistant on a really old book that I hadn't touched in years because I didn't care, to be honest. And so this is when it was in the beta stage, and I used it and my sales went up. So, because you think about it, trends change. So if you're seeing trends changing, you want to make sure that you're changing your book with those trends. And so just think about what's happening in your books and with the trends. And again, because Amazon sometimes changes it on you, I would just occasionally pop in. Like I said, you don't have to do it every day, every month, every couple of months should be fine, unless you're seeing big changes in your sales or big changes in the trends. What can you do if there's an opposite issue? People assume your book is a specific genre simply because it's about characters known to be in their favorite genre. I would make it really, really clear what that genre is. I would put it in the blurb what that genre is. Again, I know we try to assume our readers are smart when they read the book, but when they read the blurb, it's not just readers reading the blurb, it's the bots. And so you want to be very specific, I don't know, Hamlet, in enemies to lovers romance, so we know Hamlet is a romance. What is the difference between results when adding keywords to titles, sub-series, descriptions versus using the categories keywords by SAC when learning the book? Generally, you're going to get better results. I don't have any stats on that, but generally, because those keywords are there, it's just making the search engines and the bots, it's giving them more opportunity to say, oh, this book really is this thing. And so some of that is really just making sure that you're giving the reader and the bots that are searching for those terms as many opportunities as they possibly can find to understand what your book is and what your book is about. Because that's so important that, again, we're not doing this to have really amazing writing. We're doing this to make it easy to find. So hopefully that answers your questions. Again, thank you guys. Oh no, I'm so sorry, Kat. I had turned off the thing. If anybody wants me to share, if anyone wants to see the presentation, I will be happy to send it. I'm very sorry that it didn't share, and I am not in my normal setup, so I couldn't see the screen to see that comment. So I apologize. But I'm glad that it was at least like listening to a podcast and you learned about metadata. So I'm glad that was helpful. Once again, I apologize, but I will send it. Yeah, I will do a pin link to the video so that people who want to see the slides, you certainly can do that. So yeah, again, I'm so sorry. Like I said, I'm sitting on a couch in a place in Paris I'm not used to. So, but thank you for being a good audience, and thank you so much for coming. And really, really glad to be able to help you all. Good. I'm glad it was a good talk. Like I said, I'm so sorry. And I hope you all have a really great night. Ooh, okay. Thank you for telling me that my voice is very soothing. That's so appreciative. Anyway, have a great night. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the talks. I'm going to go finish packing and getting ready for bed. But I will talk to you all very, very soon. And if you do need to reach out, if you have questions, please feel free. My email address is danica@publishdrive.com. So I will put this here on the chat. Hold on. All right. Have a great night. We'll talk to y'all soon. Goodbye.